Welcome to Dump Truck Toolbox. I'm Alan. I'm not hauling anything today, and we will be talking about trucks and commercial driver's licenses. So thanks to Iron Sheepdog, they help keep the dump trucks in our region hauling. So I mentioned I'm not driving today. That has to do with the first basic tool, which is the truck itself. And my truck has had some major mechanical issues. They're trying to diagnose it and come up with a repair plan. And so while it's down, I'm at home. And while I'd rather be out on the road, it does give me a chance to share some ideas and thoughts and start a conversation with you. And so the most basic tool is the truck. And so I have it here. And to me, the dump truck, it's a very big part of the equation. Its capability, its size, and on my mind right now, its reliability. So assuming you have an opportunity to drive, you have a seat in a dump truck. The other thing you need to have is your commercial driver's license. And there's mine with a really, really great picture of me. I think the DMV is required by law to have a less than attractive picture. And my commercial driver's license has, it's for a Class B, and so that's any vehicle over 26,000 pounds, which a dump truck obviously is. And but I'm restricted to towing a trailer of 10,000 pounds or less. I do have the endorsement for passengers, and I'm qualified to drive a vehicle with air brakes, and I'm not going to carry any passengers on my dump truck, obviously. But obviously air brakes are an important thing to know how to do and how to pre-trip. I wanted to talk about the process of obtaining your commercial driver's license. And there are fundamentally three ways to get the required training. The first way is to go to a driving school and pay for it yourself. And I've had friends who've done that. It helps you get a foot in the industry, get this key credential. It's an investment of your money and your time to do that. Good move if you're starting from scratch and you don't have the contacts and you can pull together the money and the time to do it. Second way is to actually go to the same type of school but have someone else pay for it. And today there are a number of companies that are desperate for drivers, and so you may have a company that will agree to pay your tuition or reimburse you for your tuition if you accept a job with them and stay a certain amount of time or whatever. And that's a good way too. The third way is the way I obtained my commercial driver's license, and I actually did this twice. So I first started driving commercial vehicles in the late 1970s. I was only 3 years old. No, I was a college student, and I didn't have a scholarship. I was attending the University of Virginia, and I needed help, needed money to cover tuition and books. And so the best paying job on campus was to drive one of the university transit service buses that drove all around campus and picked up students and carried them to class and back to their dorms and apartments. Over Christmas break, I stayed in Charlottesville and went to a 2-week training class. And the first week we drove around parking lots, and the second week we drove on the road. At the end of that 2 weeks, we went together as a class to the local DMV, and one at a time we did their driving test, and we got our license. It was not a CDL though, it was called a chauffeur's license then. I drove for the university's bus system for almost 3 years. I took my chauffeur's license from Virginia, and when we moved to Tennessee, I converted it to a Tennessee chauffeur's license. And then, did graduate school, went to Delaware, where I had my first job, um, actually as a professor. And I think I was the only bus driving professor because I once again converted my chauffeur's license from Tennessee to Delaware, and I carried that thing around in my wallet. Turned out I didn't have any opportunity or need to drive a bus. And so then the next time we moved to Michigan, when I went to work for Ford Motor Company, and as we were making that move, I decided, let's get real, Alan. I'll never drive a bus again. And that shows how bad I am at predicting, because as I finished up my teaching career, decided that I still had more that I wanted to do in the work world, and I went back to driving a bus. But I had to get the CDL that all commercial drivers have now. And so I did, once again, the third way to get a commercial driver's license, which is to not only have someone else pay for it, but have someone pay me to be a student to obtain my commercial driver's license. And so one of the local bus companies here uh, hired me on as a trainee. And over a period of a number of weeks, we did classroom training, and then we moved out onto the road. And at the end of all that, uh, took the skills test for the commercial driver's license and obtained this CDL. So you can go to driving school or go to your employer's training program and get your commercial driver's license. Um, there's the theory side of it, and you've got to learn some theory just to get your learner's permit, because you have to take the knowledge test at the Department of Motor Vehicles. With the learner's permit, though, you're going to probably need more theory. You're going to need either the curriculum from the entry-level driver's training requirement from the FMCSA, which I believe is 120 hours of instruction. And you can do that in a classroom, you can do it online, you can do hybrid, um, uh, or you go through your employer's program. And when I was teaching bus drivers, we used a program that it was prior to the entry-level driver training requirement, but it was very compatible with it. And I was reviewing the ELDT curriculum today, and most of the topics it covered, I was very familiar with from my days teaching bus drivers. So you've got to do the theory side, and then you obviously have to practice in the vehicle. The skills test that's required has three components. The first is a pre-trip inspection, and it's not just the inspection, it's also proving that you understand the components of the vehicle and how they operate. But we had to talk through it all and demonstrate both that we knew how to do a pre-trip and we knew how the vehicle worked. That's the first part of the skills test. And then there's the backing test in a parking lot, where for a large vehicle, you have to prove that not only you can go forward in a safe fashion, but you can back into specific situations that you might find yourself in with that type of vehicle. And then the final part of the skills test is going on the road and proving that you can drive that vehicle safely and smoothly. It was pretty straightforward. And so I passed it all on my first try. There were other students who had difficulties with a variety of tasks and had to retake the skill test. And at least one that I knew of who could never quite make it. She unfortunately had a very minor collision while pulling out of the parking lot, and uh, and that was her second or third time taking it, and the tester said, that's it, you're done. We're not going to test you yet another time. So it is important to take the training seriously and get ready for that test. If you're in a paid training program, they're very proud of their pass rates, and at least the ones I've checked out have made a very big deal of, we're going to be here for you, we're going to help you. If you struggle, we're going to give you some extra time. They're not in the business of merely collecting tuition payments. They're in the business of helping people get their commercial driver's licenses. And so they're going to go the extra mile to help you out. You've got a truck. Hopefully yours is running, unlike mine is right at the moment. You have your CDL, and you're good to go, right? Well, not quite. Almost every company, including my current employer, has an orientation plan for new drivers. And it doesn't matter if you've got a fresh from the DMV commercial driver's license, or you've driven for many years. There's an expectation that you're going to have to learn their vehicle. You're going to have to learn their service area. You're going to have to learn their specific practices and policies. You're going to have to learn their digital systems, and almost every company now has at least one, if not several, smartphone apps or a tablet mounted to the dashboard, and it's going to be doing vehicle tracking, or like Iron Sheepdog, actually doing a variety of things. So not only can it pinpoint where the dump truck is, but it gives out the day's work. It does behind the scenes stuff to bills. So it's important for the driver to do their part of it, or else the company doesn't get paid. And if the company doesn't get paid, then it's sort of hard to justify paying the driver too. So you've got to learn their information systems. And then I would go further to say, especially if you're a new driver, when you get your commercial driver's license, you're really less than half the way to being a competent professional driver. There's a giant difference between driving an empty vehicle, whether it's a dump truck or a bus or a moving van, and driving it with 10 tons of dirt, or a van full of furniture, or a bus full of passengers. The challenges you face will be different and more complicated. And so most companies have orientation, and then even some on the road practice. And so I've been paired up with a senior driver, and he has shown me things with me in the passenger seat. And then after a day of that, I moved over into the driver's seat and did some things that weren't the best, and he helped me correct what I was doing, and I just learned a ton from him. And that's the journey I'm on right now. I know to be a competent dump truck driver, I've got a lot more to learn. And so over the next months and years, I'm going to keep my eyes open. I'm going to keep my mind open. I'm going to look and listen. I'm going to evaluate myself. I'm going to take feedback from others. And then I also hope that people who follow the dump truck toolbox, that you'll jump in and say, have you thought about this, Alan? Here's a better way to do it. Here's something you haven't talked about. Are you familiar with that? Or if, I'm sure, hopefully the trolls will be gentle, but I'm sure trolls will jump in and talk about how, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I don't know if it's going to be literally true that it's literally the dumbest thing they've ever seen, but even that's useful. It's like, If you found this video interesting or useful, please like it. If you want to see more content in the Dump Truck Toolbox, please subscribe. Join the conversation in the comments section. You can email me directly, and I'll do my best to respond. Until the next time, be safe out there, and I'll see you soon on the Dump Truck Toolbox.